And there are different standards that different businesses apply. Some require coat and tie, some require shoes, some don't. And businesses always have the opportunity to make the decision that's best for them. The most important thing that we can do, however, is
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited. All are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. Solar Integrated Roofing is an integrated solar and roofing installation company in Southern California and is fast growing as well. So with me, CEO David Massey, to bring us up to date on, I know you've had a couple of acquisitions lately, David. So bring me up to date on where you are with all of that since we last spoke.
You know, we actually just announced today that we closed the acquisition in South Carolina, Cornerstone Construction, which so far has been our biggest one. Hunter Ballo, who's the CEO of the company, he's a very well-known person in the industry. He's followed by a lot of people. So he's going to bring us in contact with a lot of new companies that talk to about acquisitions.
Okay, great. So not only this acquisition, but perhaps some more introductions as you continue to grow. And I know the last time we talked, there was Interrev, right? That was an acquisition. So bring me up to date on that and give the audience a little bit of background on Interrev and what that does to bring value to the company.
As you know, Trent is a very hard worker from Interrev. He's the president of Interrev. He's done an excellent job. He's hiring a lot of new managers to get things going in California. He's working very hard to open up in Phoenix, and we're really, really looking at the Dallas area as well. So he's working on those three fronts. We're at the setup stages now, but we should be very active in, I would say, less than 30 days.
Okay. And then I also remember we had talked about an audit to become fully compliant with the SEC, perhaps an uplisting. What's going on there?
That's becoming very current. The audit is, I thought it would be done today. It's either going to be today or tomorrow. And the Form 10 is ready. We anticipate filing the Form 10 early mid next week and then start the uplist process.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like solar is kind of all the stars are aligned. We've got support from a new White House. There's just a lot of consumer support for solar as well. I mean, what do you see for this industry going forward?
You know, just as you mentioned, the stars are aligned. I mean, the gas prices going up, cost of fuel is going up. With the weather that we're having and the blackouts and people can't keep their power on, storage is going to be very, very important. So we're definitely at the right place at the right time. And I think it's going to be good for the country as well.
Okay. And so tell me about that. You mentioned some of the expansions that you're doing. Do you foresee more of that? Will you be coming to New York State, for example?
You know, possibly. You know, we are talking with someone in New Jersey, so it's definitely a possibility. But we're very open-minded. Our key to we feel like to our success is the quality of the companies that we acquire. So we want the right fit, right culture, the right company to help us grow. That's a key for us.
All right. Thank you so much, CEO David Massey of Solar Integrated Roofing, and I look forward to more updates as they expand.
Thanks, Jane. Appreciate it.
stocks have been among the best performers this year. And the thinking is maybe it's time for federal legalization of cannabis. So with me, two experts here to talk about this. We've got Keith Stauffer, the CFO of TerraSend, and also Matt Carnes, the founder of Greenwave Advisors, to talk about this industry. It's really been a hot industry so far this year. Keith, let's start with you. So we've got a new administration in the White House, one that is at least perceived to be friendlier to cannabis regulation, the Democrat House now as well. So, I mean, what do you think this might mean for the cannabis industry?
Hi, Jane. Thanks for having me. You know, first of all, it's tough to kind of take bets on where the government's going to head, but I think if I were just to say what would be best for a company like TerraSend or other multi-state operators in the U.S. in the industry, I think the first changes would be centered around banking reform and tax reform, 280E tax. And then the third would be some ability to uplist to U.S. exchanges. So if I just take the first couple first and take banking reform and tax reform and just apply it to the TerraSend example, just the hard cash savings from those two types of changes could equate to north of $1 billion of enterprise value increase in a company like ours.
So, Matt, I mean, we saw in November, what was it, 4 or 5 states pass varying legalizations of marijuana. It was South Dakota and Arizona, and I'm trying to remember all of them. There were several. Do you think that this will lead to more growth? And what is the size of the industry and the expected growth?
Sure. Well, thank you also for having us this morning. I would say that, yes, more states legalizing will contribute to the growth. It takes probably about a year or so, a year to 18 months for a new market to get implemented if there was no existing market. So in the case of this past election, we had Arizona and New Jersey, 2 existing medical markets that are robust, that are, Arizona actually has already started selling recreational use. So there'll be a quicker ramp up in sales and revenues, going into this year and next. The size of the market last year, estimates are estimated about $20 billion for 2020, and going into this year, roughly about $25 billion. Most of that growth, again, is other states that have implemented a couple of years ago are starting to ramp up, and as well as the new states that have come online. So most of the growth is coming from new states, and then those existing states, we're starting to see some real organic growth year over year. And so, longer term, I mean, my crystal ball only goes out maybe 2 years. I think it's really hard to handicap year by year at this point because we're very close to the end zone. So I would just say, I look at the market now just after going to 2022, out to about, I would say the market at maturity is about $70 to $80 billion. And that doesn't even include the CBD market. This is just the retail sales for the THC products by and large.
Now, Keith, you talked a little bit about, listing on some of the major exchanges, ETFs. I mean, what are all the barriers for this industry? And then also, what are the different ways that investors can play in the cannabis space, so to speak?
Yeah, maybe a couple elements there. So there are new ETFs. For example, there's an ETF MSOS, which is multi-state operator. That's where that comes from. It's a New York Stock Exchange traded ETF. So that's a good way to play the sector, and it's on a major exchange. Like I mentioned earlier, the barrier is just that companies like ours and other leading multi-state operators trade on Canadian exchanges, and so once the laws are rewritten and providing a pathway to uplist to NASDAQ or NYSE, then definitely that the barriers come down, the capital flows into these companies more readily, and that provides more investment to continue to expand the sector and continue to expand the operations of these companies.
Now, do you think it will have to be federally legal before the banking happens and the listing happens? That's the next thing that needs to happen for this industry, would you say?
There has to be some, not full federal legality, but there has to be some type of safe harbor language that's developed in these acts that will enable the exchanges to conclude that they can list these companies.
Okay. Now, there's also a social justice element to this as well. I saw Jay-Z, I believe, was starting like a venture fund for minority-owned cannabis companies. I mean, is that also something that will impact this industry as it grows?
Definitely. I would say this industry is leading in terms of some of the efforts with social justice, whether it be just employment with such a growing industry and in these hard times more broadly, this industry is hiring more and more people. TerrAscend, for example, we're hiring a lot of people, a diverse workforce in Pennsylvania and New Jersey are two of our beachhead states. And maybe a second great example is just last week, Jason Wild, full disclaimer, he's our chairman, but Jason Wild partnered with Chris Webber, the former NBA All-Star, and announced a partnership to start a fund, I believe it was $200 million fund, focused on minority-owned businesses in the cannabis sector, and not only putting their money behind it, but putting their time behind it to work with these minority-owned businesses to help them develop and expand their businesses. So I think those are two great examples of how the industry's leading some of the efforts in social justice.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Matt, I mean, how should potential investors or people who are in this industry how should they watch it? How should they invest in it? Is it too late? I mean, we've seen a big run up in cannabis stocks already this year. And then what should they look for when looking for cannabis companies?
Well, first of all, I would say it's not too late. It just really depends on your time horizon. If you think of it in terms of just where we are in the industry's growth, if we are at 20 billion last year and it's expected to go to 80 billion plus, we're like maybe not even a quarter way there. So as much as these stocks have run, I really don't think they're valued to maturity at this point. So there's a long way to go. Now, can I predict the bottom and now get in? No, I mean, obviously there's volatility, but if you're in for the longer term, you really can't go wrong in many of these multi-state operators that have started to demonstrate real operational efficiencies and improvement. And what I would also say is once prohibition ends, and I was saying earlier, there is a cost of prohibition, right? There's a high tax rate, there's compliance costs. Keith would know better than I, really all the nuts and bolts that are behind everything. But really, once prohibition ends, and folks like TerrAscend, companies like that, and some of these other MSOs that are demonstrating free cash flow generation, once you get rid of all these prohibition costs, the free cash flow profile of these companies really dramatically will accelerate, in my opinion. So I think there's tremendous opportunity. And what I would look for is solid management teams. I mean, we've seen instances in the past, maybe some companies have gone public too early, didn't have the background, the experience, et cetera. I think most of that's behind us. And right now it's a very bright light going into the future for this sector.
Well, thank you so much, Keith and Matt, for joining us and explaining I know a lot of people are really interested in this industry. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Global Cannabis Applications Corp has a new technology-based platform that can aggregate data about cannabis and help us learn more about what it can be used for, and it's just good for the whole industry. So with me is the CEO of the company, Brad Moore. Brad, welcome.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks for having me.
So let's start with this platform you've got. Efixi, am I saying it right?
Yeah, Efixi.
Okay. Explain the platform, what it does, and how can we benefit from it?
Sure. So Efixi is there are 5 interlocking technology. Efixi is like a takeoff of the word efficacy. Our whole focus is on patient efficacy. We know that growers in the past have been able to produce a lot of products in the ground. But if you're going to say something's medical, there's 2 things that have to happen. The product has to be consistently produced, and then it has to be measured, right? And so the measurement is the efficacy part. So by using a combination of mobile technologies, blockchain, algorithms that we've developed with some of the leading algorithmic scientists in Israel, we've been able to put together what we call not a seed to sale solution, but a seed to sale to seed. So that means a full cycle of data all the way for every grown gram. So we start by measuring it with our partners from Purity IQ. Then for every batch that's going from that, we compare that batch to make sure it's consistent. We track it all the way through the life cycle, the development, simple seed to sale stuff. And then we attach consumer efficacy to it, and we feed it over back and run it through algorithms to determine what is the best potential product for a consumer.
Now, is this the first end-to-end cannabis data solution?
Well, I hope so, because I've got a patent pending on it. So we'll cross our fingers and find out about that. But yeah, it's from what we've seen. Look, we've been in this game since 2017, right? And we spent, 2018, I must have spent like 7 months in Israel looking at it. And it's besides great food and the Mediterranean, they're huge leaders in technology. And when you look at the Israeli system, what you're going to actually see is they have 20 years. Every growers and cultivators are all attached to R&D facilities. So it's about the consumer, and that's critical. And, I've been in this industry around enough, and we made enough investments to see how much growers have actually really kind of controlled the sway. And you've seen that in Canada. So when we went to legalization, we just said, okay, it's like the end of prohibition. Now you can go buy it in the liquor store, their Canadian version. But really, what we were talking about before, if you took this product, what's the difference? What defines this product as medical or recreational? And that's what we're actually focused on. And so by just using our technology and putting a simple QR code system on the top, where a consumer can take their phone and scan it and see everything there is to do with it and what's going to work best, that's hugely innovative.
Well, it's a decentralization trend that we've seen in other industries as well. So now, what would you say your sales would be in 2021?
So we got targeted. We're what we call it is grams under contract. We say that because, one grower might do it for one line, one grower might do it for all their products. So we're targeting 32 million grams under contract, and we make on average 38 cents between the SaaS licensing and the data sales that come from that, the manipulation of the data output, which is, I think, 2-3 press releases back we announced that, was 38 cents. So, we're looking roughly at 20 times or 32 times 38 cents, right? That's why I've got a CFO. He's great, man. The guy with the MBA doesn't know how to do, so we'll leave it at that. And then for 2022, we'll have an aggregate between those 2 years of 122 million grams. So first year, 32 million grams under contract with average revenue of 38 cents per gram between data sales and SaaS licensing. I can tell you right now in the pipeline, we actually have a pipeline full of potential opportunities that we're working with of 195 million grams. So our target's 32 million grams, and our pipeline line right now is 195 million grams with deals at varying stages. So we're off to a pretty good start for 2021.
Okay. Well, and it's definitely something that's needed as, cannabis grows. I think, we saw, 6 states approve various levels of legality of cannabis in November in the U.S. So, I expect that to continue, and there'll be more data needed.
100%. And we really want to go into the message, like, the EU came out and they said back in the day in 2018 or early 2019, they said, we need to get this off Schedule 1. He goes, but we need more information. And as you know, information comes from data comes from technology. So that's what our focus is, right? We've got the platform, we've got the tools fully commercialized. And like I said, it's we say to growers, come to us or we're coming to you, right? And we're bringing the customers along. Your customers at the end of the day, when there's that QR code that's going to be on top, they're going to demand this.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. So thank you so much, Brad, for coming in. Best of luck, and join us again later this year and get an update.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back. BDAM has reached a new agreement to expand to Korea. So with us to tell us more about that particular expansion is Cheyenne Kataria, the CEO of BDAM. So welcome, Cheyenne, and then we're going to talk with some of your Korean partners right after this. So, but Cheyenne, if you could just explain, just give everybody a real quick overview of BDAM and then what this latest partnership and expansion is all about.
For sure. So we just set up BDAM Korea in February. It was exciting stuff. We signed in officially, and this new branch we set up is to expand BDAM operations in Asia and to provide asset management and other financial services, as well as build and integrate technology solutions, financial technology solutions for this marketplace. And the partnership also is based off of a mix of things. We have several partners here today. We have DTS, who will help us with asset management and providing data. We have GoodPay Global, who will provide us a lot of the other services, such as managing the Visa cards. We're going to have Visa cards and so forth. And of course, we also have CryptoQuant, which will provide us very, very accurate and efficient data for our trading services. And yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk with each CEO here about your particular company. So Danny, Kim, let's start with you, CEO of GoodPay Global. And if you could explain your company and then how you're going to be working with BDAM.
GoodPay Global is designed for blockchain solutions. Anybody can be using our solutions to make it the tokens and to use it in the exchanges and to use it in the real life. So that reason we will be providing all the solution with BDAM. So we will be using our solutions for BDAM Asia market, and all the solutions we can be. That's anybody who can be joined and who can be make the tokens and who can be using it in real life with all the solutions together.
Okay, and then Key, explain CryptoQuant.
So CryptoQuant is a blockchain data provider for hedge funds and traders. We've been providing blockchain data to promising hedge funds like Jump Trading, Cumberland, and Block Tower, other major crypto hedge funds. And I'm very glad to have a partnership with BDAM. We'll deploy quantitative strategies for BDAM after this partnership.
Okay, and then Cheyenne, can you explain like how BDAM is going to leverage the quant data to generate revenue?
Right. So we're going to leverage quant data, as mentioned by Key. We're going to be getting very, very accurate data, and we're going to be getting we're tying that in with our trading strategies, which are proven, and we're testing it out over the period of months. And the key is consistency. So these strategies don't just work today and tomorrow you have to keep changing it. These things work consistently, and that's really what we're working on. One of our core services is going to be consistent, deliverable trading data and strategies. So anybody can, whether you're an expert trader or a novice trader, you can make some money.
Okay, and then what was it about the Korean market that you found attractive?
I would say several things. The people very nice. The people very involved with crypto in the Korean market in terms of leading it in a lot of cases. So I found it to be a very key partnership because it was very apparent that the role the Korean market played in influencing the other Asian markets when it came to the cryptocurrency and other financial services around cryptocurrency. So.
Danny, could you explain how is crypto blockchain industry in South Korea?
It's rising up now. As you know that the Korean market is always a hot place, especially in the blockchain or crypto. People, they doesn't understand what is the meaning about the blockchain technology. But nowadays, a lot of the startup, a lot of the company, they are investing a lot of time. And now it's a very good time to make it the better solutions in Asian market, in Korea market. So especially what is the main thing is that the people, they doesn't understand DeFi or the crypto values, but we can deploy real solutions in the real life. For example, it's the prepaid card and the payment tools and the staking program and the real trade with the crypto. And this is the real product for Asians.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very happy to work with the BDAM, especially in the Asian market.
All right, Diane, I mean, so this is what you're looking for, like the big data and being able to hone the trading model that way. That's what this is really.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, the crypto world is much bigger than just charts. As he has mentioned, there's so many variables to this. You got the whales, you got all the different actions going on, which affect the price. And if we trade on only part of the picture, then you're going to take a lot more risks. So we like to provide as much of the pictures of what's going on to the trader as possible, so they can make the best decisions.
Okay. Now, do you think, Diana, you'll have any more international partnerships coming up?
I sure hope so. First I'd like to really nail the Korean market with this great partnership and branch. And then once we do that, we're definitely going to continue our path to different markets. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Diane, for joining us again. And great to talk to you, Danny Kim and Hansu M. Wonderful to see you in Korea, in South Korea, and then also you as well. So look forward to getting updates as the partnership continues.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On my show, I put no barriers between myself and my viewer. I don't use jargon. I never talk QE3. I don't use scripts. I just speak into the camera, tell the story, and we're invested together.
Fox Business, invested in you.
Hello, I'm William Shatner, and you may not know this about me, but years ago, I was diagnosed with a sleep disorder. And like millions of others, I was prescribed sleep equipment. Did you know sleep equipment manufacturers recommend daily cleaning? That's why I use SoClean 2. It's the perfect complement to my daily routine, and it's hassle-free. SoClean 2 is fast and easy. It keeps my sleep equipment fresh every day without the need for disassembly. To keep the immune system strong, we should do everything we can to ensure a good night's sleep, including using the SoClean 2 daily to keep sleep equipment fresh. Try SoClean 2 risk-free for 30 nights. Order now and get $100 off. SoClean 2 is so fast and gives you peace of mind that your sleep equipment is fresh each time you use it. Call the number on your screen or go to SoClean2.com to take advantage of this risk-free trial and get $100 off. Call now.
Guys, as a urologist,